My wife had a physical affair and I don't know how to feel about it. I 27M and my wife 26F got married in January 2020 in a conservative family setup. I work in the government sector, and she chose to be a housewife. We met 4 times with and without family before confirming our match and had a 6-month courtship period. She was very shy and reserved during that time. In the last month before the wedding, I got frustrated and called it off, but our families intervened, and I decided to continue. For the first 6 months, we didn't have any intimacy, not even holding hands. Due to COVID, we were stuck in the house together for 2 months. Despite this, I began to appreciate her nature. She cooked, cleaned, and took care of me when I was sick. In the 5th month of our marriage, I contracted COVID and quarantined in a separate room. She took care of my diet, medicine, and constantly checked on me. During this time, I slowly fell in love with her. By July, we began our intimate relationship, and everything seemed perfect. My world revolved around her, and hers around me. She got pregnant in September 2022 and gave birth to a beautiful girl in April 2023. Due to tradition, she spent most of her pregnancy at my in-laws' house in their village. She insisted on staying there because her mom and sister could take care of her. I didn't want to pressure her, knowing pregnancy isn't easy. She returned home in February, and her attachment to me grew stronger. Her eyes lit up like a dog's seeing its owner after a long absence. Our sex life became wild. She knew my kinks but wasn't comfortable with them before. Now, we had sex almost every day, especially when the baby was asleep. I was happy my wife was home. I didn't have to worry about daily chores, and I experienced unparalleled joy with my baby. Then, the bomb dropped. Someone sent me over 10+ videos on Telegram, each over 30+ minutes long, of different video having sex with my wife from various angles and positions. The shock was indescribable. I couldn't watch more than 30 seconds of any video, and I know the video was taken between July and January because the guy lives in her village, and some of the clothes she wore were bought by my mom after the pregnancy. Strangely, I never cried. It's been 15 days since, and I don't have the strength to confront her. I don't know what to say or do. I think my wife knows she's been caught because I've barely eaten, talked, or had sex with her. She even tried to give me a blowjob, but I couldn't get erect. I barely sleep at night and pretend to be asleep most of the time. She cuddles me tightly and cries in the middle of the night. But my love for her seems gone, and I don't care about her crying anymore. I love my daughter deeply. If I divorce my wife, my daughter's life will be destroyed. She's only 14 months old. I don't know if this is a test from God, but I'm lost and don't know what to do. Edit. I know I have to face reality. I hope God gives me strength as He tests my morals character. I need to take my time and thank you for your advice. First, I will check DNA and STI, and I will update if I need guidance. Update 1. First, I want to thank the Reddit community for giving me good advice and to those who DM'd me, helping to reduce my anxiety and just talking to me during a difficult time. I'm now in a better place with more clarity. After the post, my wife knew she was caught but didn't have the courage to confess, and my mental health was in a bad place. So, I went to my sister's house and called my wife's brother to pick her up because I didn't want my daughter to stay alone with her. The next day, I opened up to my sister. It was very hard to be vulnerable in front of her, but I couldn't control my emotions. At first, she didn't understand the situation or what to do next, but she has been my rock ever since, taking good care of me. I convinced her not to tell anyone, but my mental health continued to decline. So, I decided to go to some place with some relative to clear my mind. However, my sister suggested that before I leave, I should give a blood sample for DNA and STD testing. She will contact a lawyer and also take care of my daughter. After 7 days, I returned to find so much chaos at my house. My wife had already confessed to her brother, who was now begging me to consider it as a mistake and wanted to meet me. She also sent a full confession on WhatsApp, which was hard to read, but I empathized with her. However, it's difficult to forgive her for putting me and my daughter in this position, not knowing what type of diseases this person might carry. So now, my sister is staying with me since she's working from home and coordinating with the lawyer to manage my assets and legal documents. This way, in case of a legal battle, I'll face minimal damage, and she's also helping with co-parenting. It's been a month now, and I still haven't faced my wife. Her brother, who is a respected doctor and owns a small clinic, suggested that if I agree to do marriage counseling with a specific counselor for 6 months, they will accept whatever decision I make afterward, and I wouldn't have to give them a single rupee. I also recommended no contact during this time, no calls, no texts, etc. I warned that if someone leaks the video or spreads news about the affair, I would immediately divorce her, as I don't want to feel emasculated in front of society. This is an update to say that I'm in a better place now, thanks to my daughter and sister. My daughter stays with me most of the time because her mother isn't in a good place. My sister updates me about her and crying about her condition, but I don't want to hear about it, it's too much for my mental health right now. Edit. I get a lot of teenage-type DMs on my profile suggesting I should just get a divorce or that she's not my problem anymore. Ignoring this deeper issue would cause lifelong trauma for me, my daughter, and my wife, which I don't want. Recently, my sister informed me that my wife was hospitalized, but since I'm not fully recovered myself, I asked my sister not to tell me about her until now. If she weren't a victim, I would definitely divorce her. I need to talk or seek counseling to fully understand the depth of the situation so that we can both heal and move forward with better co-parenting, or even become good friends in the long term. This way, my daughter won't face unnecessary trauma, and I can avoid making the same mistakes in my next relationship. There is a quote in Vinland Saga where Thorfinn says, "There's no point in peace negotiations if you go around punching people." Update 2. I don't know how to feel about it, but yesterday my sister informed me that my wife's affair partner committed suicide because his wife wanted to marry her lover and divorce him. You think I should be happy that karma was served, but when I saw a photo of his child, it really hurt. I know what kind of trauma and emotional baggage they will carry, and how hard it will be for them to manage money for day-to-day life. Some people really don't deserve to be parents. But then, the next thought is to be grateful that our parents gave us a good childhood. I know they weren't perfect. So I wanted to say, if you have problems in your marriage, go to counseling, it's part of marriage, but never cheat or be dishonest with your partner. If you are on good terms nowadays, it's a gift that God has given you. Update 3. After my last post, I want to share that I would like to have one final session before Diwali, this time without my ex-wife, to confront her. However, I wanted to share the dynamics of my ex-wife's affair in the simplest form so that you can better understand our situation. He was a very narcissistic person who manipulated women into sexual relationships. He used love bombing when she was in college, and while she initially liked the attention, she wanted to end the friendship when she heard about his behavior and reputation. At that point, his behavior changed completely. He began blackmailing her, threatening to leak their chats to her family and ruin her reputation in society. She begged and convinced him to end it. He agreed but demanded money in exchange, which ultimately resulted in him raping her. After that incident, he never contacted her again but left her with a deep emotional scar. For context, she was just 19 years old at the time. 6 years after our marriage, he blackmailed her again and raped her for a month. I can confirm this by referring to a video he sent me. While she was always laughing, silly and physically engaged when we were intimate, in that video, her eyes were closed, and she remained in silent pain. That has been the hardest and most traumatic thing for me to witness, so I can only imagine what she went through. You can understand how traumatic it sounds, even though it was only 10% of the surface story of her trauma, simplified to the bare minimum. My therapist pointed out that it feels as if I abandoned her. But when I said it's not fair for either of us, it became clear that the power balance in our marriage would completely change if I pursued an open relationship or explored kinks that she was not comfortable with before the affair. Now, She just agrees to everything. Now she is only the mother of my child. How can I explain that I don't see her as my partner in the same way? To me, sex with her feels no different than with a prostitute, just a physical release. Apologies if this is offensive. Her dishonesty about the affair and failing to provide me a safe space to share her trauma puts both me and my daughter in a dangerous position concerning potential sexual diseases. It feels like it's tearing my soul apart. She just yelled at me that it wasn't an affair, it was rape, fucking rape. She admitted that she's not neutral. She said to view her as your wife's older sister who wants to reduce trauma and challenge the mindset of this Indian societal view that she's now impure. She believes I can easily find someone else because I hold the financial power. She viewed the whole situation in a very rigid way. We spent a full 2 hours discussing different points about my ex-wife's condition, our future dynamics, and our goals. It was a productive conversation, but at times, she was attacking me. I also informed my brother-in-law about possibly changing therapists, and he agreed. I also shared a very sad reality of our society. Many people have told me their stories about how their spouse cheated on them. About 40 people shared with me that they experienced infidelity in their marriages. Most husbands divorce their wives, but most wives shared that they knew about their husbands' infidelity but never divorced them due to concerns about their children, family, or fear of loneliness after divorce. One woman shared that she wanted to divorce her husband but couldn't because she didn't have financial stability for her child, and being intimate with her husband felt like abuse. This is very traumatic. The dark reality is that while cheating is not normalized but it is normal in every society. Edit. She admitted that she had an affair with that man, as told by my brother-in-law and me. But when I saw the chat between them and asked about her past, it seemed more like rape, although not the typical portrayal seen in movies. She pushed him away a little but eventually gave in, and he did what he wanted. She is so naive and unaware that she believes a 6-year-old incident like this was consensual. I am uncertain if, after marriage, this was forced or not, whether she initially agreed and the situation turned wrong, or if it was rape. The whole situation is so messy, unclear, and raw. Edit 2. This whole subreddit, my therapist, and my life are so messed up right now. You all call me a cuckold, a child, a weak husband, etc. Please don't bully me in my DMs. I think I need individual therapy. I don't know what is real anymore. Is my wife not as naive as I thought? Is she actually smart enough to manipulate me because her affair partner is dead? Or has my therapist scrambled my brain to convince me to accept what she wants? Maybe my wife is a victim in this whole situation, and it wouldn't be fair to divorce her. But how could I have been so naive and stupid, and how can I trust her again? This is really a mess, but I don't want to overthink it. Today is New Year's, and I don't want to mess things up with my family. This whole thing sucks. Update 4. Hope you all are well. After my last post, we discussed my brother-in-law's about therapist, and he apologized to me for the therapist's behavior. He left the situation in my hands, saying they will accept whatever my final decision is. The point of not divorcing my wife. After our separation, she never manipulated or guilt-trapped me and, most importantly, remained honest about every single detail. I asked her countless questions about small details, and without me asking, she gave me a 50-page confession. I cross-checked it multiple times but never found any mistakes or misunderstandings. She encouraged me to write about my emotions daily so she could work on improving herself to be a better wife and mother. She has been fully committed to individual counseling to help us recover from the trauma more effectively. This new version of herself emerged because I confronted her, telling her she would never be a good wife. Throughout our entire marriage, I carried all the responsibility, providing for her financially, supporting her emotionally, dealing with her trauma, and cleaning up her mess, while she only cried. I told her that the dynamic of our relationship felt more like a father-daughter relationship, which deeply affected her. She admitted her faults, saying that if she had confessed earlier, I wouldn't have had to suffer mentally. She acknowledged that it was her mistakes that put our marriage in this position. However, she doesn't consider it rape because, as she explained, victims don't willingly meet their perpetrators. That part of her explanation I didn't agree, but the full truth has been revealed. The point of divorcing my wife. After her sexual assault, she became a sex addict. I respect her honesty during counseling, but due to my poor communication and anger at the time, we didn't discuss this issue for a long time because of my anger. I told her our marriage is a mess, both our mental health is deteriorating, our child's future is on the line, and yet she wants sex. During this vacation, when both our families came together, we had to share the same bed. This led to the topic being brought up again. She confessed that during ovulation and the period days near it, her urges become unbearable, which is concerning in many ways. Since our separation, we have not had sex, hugged, and haven't even considered intimacy in the future, not until I've fully healed. This is because people often don't completely heal from sexual assault, and intimacy with partners can be especially difficult. On the other hand, she says she has nearly fully healed from her trauma and that her libido is increasing. Another concern is that after I gave her a second chance, she didn't return to her normal self, but instead became a wiser, better wife and mother. Both families are currently staying at our home for this vacation, and she has taken full responsibility for the household, waking up early, preparing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, ensuring everything runs on time, treating everyone with a smile, and making sure both sets of parents are comfortable. Her behavior has been consistent throughout the trip. I don't know about her, but I find myself feeling incredibly jealous. How could she heal so much after everything that happened, while I remain stuck with my insecurities and foggy mind? This has been our life so far. I plan to continue my individual counseling after both families leave, to work on gaining mental clarity. Thank you for reading. Writing this has been therapeutic for me. I need time to think about everything, and this will be my last update here. Thank you to everyone who has been with me through this journey. If you like it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the next story.